Okay, it looks like we are now live. Welcome to our Tuesday, August 6th, 2024 Committee of Adjustment meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder to open the meeting? Moved by Councillor McNell, second by Councillor Jaworski, that we open the meeting at the call of the chair at 6:18 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Confirmation of the agenda. Are there any changes, Mr. Secretary?
Nope, no changes. Sure.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder to accept the agenda as presented, sorry? Moved by Councillor McNell, seconded by Councillor Bougie, that we accept the agenda as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Are there any around the table? Seeing none, we'll move on. Approval of previous minutes for the May 21st, 2024 meeting. Were there any errors or omissions caught? All right, can I get a mover and a seconder to accept those? Moved by Councillor Bougie, seconded by Councillor McNell, that we accept the May 21st, 2024 meeting as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Presentations and delegations, there are none. We'll get into new business. A12-2024, Benjamin Longtank, Thomas Grace, 140601325 Ontario Limited. Mr. Irwin.
Thank you, Chair. I will just share my screen. All right, so I will start with a little bit of required wording under the Ontario Planning Act that this is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person, the applicant, or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, their comment will not be considered by the Committee of Adjustment. Only the applicant, the municipality, and the Minister of Municipal Affairs or certain public bodies may appeal a decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Land Tribunal, also known as the OLT, within 20 days of the decision. Note that the committee members have reviewed the application along with any written submissions received in support or in opposition prior to this hearing. In addition, we'll hear today oral submissions from any interested parties. So moving specifically into A1224, the subject property is legally described as Lot 27, Plan 19, being Part 2 on reference line 14 R 1572. The geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in the township of South Glengarry in the county of Glengarry, is located at 19676 John Street in Williamstown, and is approximately 0.34 acres in area. So here's the subject property just on the north side of the Raisin, highlighted in black. The purpose of the proposed minor variance is that the owner is proposing to operate a home occupation in an existing garage, an accessory building to the existing residential use that's on the property. The following relief from the zoning bylaw is being requested for section 3.17, subsection 5, to permit a home occupation to be conducted within an accessory building. This is the accessory building in question on the left, with the house it's accessory to on the right. I'm just looking at angle, some of the parking available, and a better photo of the house. The property is designated rural settlement area in the county official plan and zoned residential 1 and natural hazard in the township zoning bylaw, and the application does conform with the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. The zoning map here showing the extent of natural hazard as well as the zoning in that spot and surrounding area, with a little bit of commercial to the east and primarily a residential area. The application was circulated to all abutting property owners within 60 meters and applicable municipal staff, and we've not received any written or verbal comments to date. The application was also circulated to the Conservation Authority, and they do not object to the proposed variance. The minor variance is being recommended to be approved by our planner, Joanne Kelly. And I will pass back to you, Chair, for any questions on A1224.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from around the table? Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Does this allow any home-based business if we pass this, or is it specific to what business that they are? Like, I'm just wondering, you know, it doesn't really say in the application what the business is. You know, it could be something from making candles, or they could want to put a repair shop there. I'm not sure what they're looking to do, and I just want to know if they're limited to just what they're applying for, or if this opens it up so anybody in the future who buys that property can do any home-based business they want there.
Again, through you, Chair. Anything that meets the definition of home occupation would be permitted in that accessory building. As it stands today with that zoning, anything that falls under that definition is already permitted in the house. The zoning bylaw 30-9 just prohibits it to be conducted in the accessory building by stating it has to wholly be conducted in a main dwelling. In terms of the chances of repair shops and things like that, that generally falls more under home industry, which if I pull section, let's see here, that home industry I don't believe falls within the R1 zone. Home daycare. Single accessory, home occupation. Yeah, home industry would be a permitted use in there already. So for more intensive uses like a small engine repair or something, like wouldn't necessarily fit within that definition of home occupation. A lot of the provisions regarding home occupations are you can't change the residential characteristics. It has to fit within the scale. Can't like limited signage and yeah. So I hope that that answers some of your concerns there.
Yes, thank you.
Are the proponents on this call? Perhaps we could put that to them if they have if they want to explain a little bit more about what that home business would be.
Can we go back to full screen so we can see everybody?
Yeah, there we go. Right, I believe the applicants are on the call.
Perhaps would they not have perhaps heard it? If you have any thing as the proponent. My dad always jokes about this building because it was the yellow building that went white and the white building beside it went yellow. I believe Martin has a family member who 1 year before this house was purchased, painted it. So then they painted it the other color. I think a lot of them was Neil the painter remarked, "It's really easy to paint this house." I was like, "That's because it was painted last year." Councillor Bougie.
You, Mr. Mayor, just from previous to the meeting, if you're on attendees, I see their hand up. They might have to be brought over to panelists to be able to speak because I see their hand up in the attendee.
I believe Michelle's adding them.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for noting that, Councillor Bougie.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. What about the video? Can you see us too?
I'm not seeing you, but I only see Council and the Max presently, or Ms. Irwin. But that is okay. We can still hear you if you want to just give a little bit more information.
Okay, perfect. The yeah, our video seems to not be working currently. So could you repeat the question, please?
So it was just if you wanted to share a little bit more about what you're doing there, or anything that you wanted to add in addition to what Max, Mr. Irwin was saying.
Sure. So, okay. So I'm Christina Longtain. I'm Ben Emery's wife. So I would be using the space as a home office. I'm a psychotherapist. And I have an office right now. I practice in Quebec, where I've had a private office for 4 years about. And I would want just like a supplement office in the garage. Sorry, we had so many technical difficulties. So I'm like turned around here. Okay, so it would be to have a home office in the standalone garage. I'm here with Tom, who would be the contractor, so he can answer any questions that are more technical. But it would be a very discreet practice, mostly online, with no signage. I would never book clients back to back, so there would never be more than one vehicle at a time unless it would be a couple that came separately. Or I'm also a family therapist, so that could maybe create a couple cars coming. Yes, but it would be a very discreet sort of like supplemental practice to my main practice, which is in Quebec, and I also have an online practice currently. What else can I say? Yeah, so I'm a family therapist, a couple therapists, and I do individual therapy also. And did I want to say anything else? I had notes. I don't know if you have any questions maybe about what services I'd be offering or what it would look like.
Well, I can put that through. We can either ask questions, or if there's a counselor who wants to move and second it, we can get on with, if council wishes to improve it, we can do that too. So is that Deputy Mayor Lang moving it?
If nobody else has questions, I'd be happy to move it.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor McDonnell, that we accept this application as presented. All those in favor? Carried. All right, Mr. Irwin, I believe you have a caveat though. We walk everybody off with that one.
Thank you, Chair. So awesome, your minor variance has been approved. We'll be in touch with a notice of decision that we'll send out in the mail to everyone who mailed the notice of the meeting, or sorry, that will mail out to yourselves and any interested parties. And there'll be a 20-day appeal period. So once that 20-day appeal period expires, then we can move on to any building permits.
Okay, well, with that being approved, we'll go to A13, 2024, Batter B. Macaulay. Mr. Irwin.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just throw my screen back up here. There we are. So A1324. The lot is legally described as part of Lot 54 and Plan 133, being Part 1 of Reference Plan 14R5113, being Part 7 of Reference Plan 14R3116 in the geographic township of Lancaster, now in the township of South Glengarry, in the county of Glengarry, located at 6273 164th Avenue. And the subject property is approximately 0.16 acres in area. Here it is on the east end of 164th along the water. The purpose of minor variance is that the owner is proposing to extend an existing deck attached to the single attached dwelling on the subject property. The following relief from zoning bylaw 39 is requested for part 3.39 subsection 7 to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 6.46 meters to the east side of the proposed deck, 10.73 meters to the southeast corner of the proposed deck, and 16.83 meters to the southwest corner of the proposed deck. So here is a drawing provided by the applicant of the existing deck in red with the proposed expansion, which would be expanded towards the south in blue. An overall site plan with a zoomed in one here showing that, that final deck footprint and the proposed setbacks. And some site photos that were taken during the installation of the public notice sign. So this, if you follow the house around to the right, there's the decking that's looking to be expanded. Just looking up from the water side. And the property is designated rural district in the county official plan and is zone limited service residential and floodplain holding in the township zoning bylaw. The application does conform with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw as well. The zoning map here shows the limited service residential in yellow and the floodplain holding in blue, with the property highlighted at the end. This application was also circulated to all abutting property owners within 60 meters and applicable municipal staff, and we've not received any written or verbal comments to date. And the application was also circulated to the Conservation Authority, and they did not object to the proposed variance as well. And the minor variance application is being recommended to be approved by our planner, Joanne. And I will pass back to you, Chair, again for any questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions amongst council? Councilor Jaworski?
Thank you, through you, Mayor McDonald. I was hoping you could confirm my understanding, Max. So the distance to the watercourse on the dredged side is essentially unchanged from the previous deck. And then the direction in which the deck is extending, which is towards the St. Lawrence or Lake St. Francis, they still have more than, I mean, it's at 16 and some meters, so still more than the 15 meters.
Yes, 16 at one point, 10 at another.
Okay. All right.
I think
Thank you.
no problem.
Are there any comments from the proponents to, do they wish to add any more? You may have to put your hand, okay, we'll go to Councillor McDonnell, and just before that, you might have to put your hand up if you are the proponent, we can bring you in to talk. So go ahead, Councillor McDonnell.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say if there was no no other questions from the public, I'd move to approve as presented.
Okay, thank you. So moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Bougie, that we approve this as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Mr. Irwin, our caveat.
Thank you, Chair. So Malcolm, and your application has been approved. So there will be a 20-day appeal period. Once that 20-day appeal period expires, then we can get to issuing any building permits, which I believe are currently under review. So if there are any questions, don't hesitate to reach out anytime.
Okay, great. Moving on to A14, 2024, Dickey Wilson Architectural Design Incorporated. Mr. Irwin.
Thank you, Chair. There we go. There we go. So the subject property for A1424 is Lot 11 on Plan 14M10 in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in the township of South Glengarry, in the county of Glengarry, located at 6876 Craig Road, and is approximately 0.41 acres in area. This one may seem familiar to committee members, as they had applied for a separate minor variance earlier this year, I believe, for the proposed house. This minor variance is for a proposed retaining wall. As the owner is proposing to construct 2 retaining walls, being 0.95 meters tall on the west side of the property and 0.99 meters tall on the east side of the property, and are requesting to reduce the required setback for the retaining wall from 1 meter down to 0 meters to the interior side lot lines of the subject property. Here is a site plan with north facing the right side, and you can see the kind of thicker lines along each property line as the proposed retaining walls. Here's a slightly more zoomed in copy, just listing the retaining wall heights and the 0 meter setbacks, and some site photos taken when the public notice sign was installed. This is facing down from Craig Road towards the water. This would be along the west property line, along the east property line. Same thing on the east, a little more on the west, and facing down from the road again. The property is designated rural district in the county official plan and is zone limited service residential 1 and floodplain holding in the township zoning bylaw. And the application does conform to the general intent of the official plan and general intent of the zoning bylaw. Here's the zoning map showing the limited floodplain holding along the water and the LSR 1 zoning. Although it says LSR 2 on the right, that only applies to that parcel. That whole section of Craig Road would be LSR 1. This application was circulated to all abutting property owners within 60 meters and applicable municipal staff, and we've not received any written or verbal comments to date. And it was also circulated to the Conservation Authority, who confirmed that the proposed developments outside of their regulated area and that they have no further comments. The minor variance application is also being recommended to be approved by our planner director. And I will pass it back to you, Chair. I believe you're on mute.
Thank you. It was brought to my attention, and I apologize for perhaps going back just to see was there any members? I called on the proponents of the previous applications, and I might not change anything, but I would like to see if there was a member of the public who may have not felt they were asked. So was there a member of the public on any of our applications that wanted to say something? I'll just give it a moment to see if there's if you are an attendee, you can click the chat feature or put your hand up and we can bring you into the panelist for a conversation. I think the remaining ones are mostly the proponents, but okay, for this particular one then, and A14, are there questions from around the committee table? Councillor Jaworski?
Thank you, through Mayor. So I want, again, confirmation. So today there are no retaining walls. Is that correct? And this would be to have new retaining walls. And I guess I'd just like a little bit more explanation as to the rationale why. Thank you.
So through you, Chair, there are no retaining walls on the property right now. And I would defer to Brock Wilson, the agent for the application, to discuss the more technical features.
And he is a panelist, so I believe we can hear him. I see his hand up too. So go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
You can hear me. Perfect. Thanks, Councillor Jaworski, for the question. Just to clarify, again, as Max Irwin has mentioned, there is no retaining walls on site as of yet. The lands itself have not been yet developed per se, as per the previous approved development plan or subdivision agreement. Being that said, the existing cottage that is there now is to be demolished, and a new residence is to be constructed. And with that, we are obligated to follow the appropriate grading or subdivision grading plan that was part of the original subdivision agreement. So in that turn, seeing that the lots are extremely narrow, our level of gradient in any case to abide by these grading and drainage plans are pretty narrow in itself in any case. So that's why, in fact, we have to provide these retaining walls in any sense. So yeah.
Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So the retaining walls are to help with the drainage. My only concern would be if they hinder the drainage on the neighboring properties, because your property is now going to be 3 feet higher than the 2 neighboring properties. I did drive by last night. It looks as though most of it is sloping towards the river, so maybe it won't be an issue, but I just want to make sure that that it takes into account the neighboring properties and doesn't then stop the drainage on their properties.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lang, for the question, or Martin Lang, sorry for the question. I would stipulate that the retaining walls would in fact assist for one, our drainage in any case, so that we're not draining to the neighboring properties, allowing us to grade appropriately. As far as with respect to the adjacent drainage, I can't really comment on that. Of course, in any aspect, it would be existing lands that, of course, we can't hypothetically, alter in any case. So in any sense, we ourselves would be improving our lands so that drainage is appropriate, of course, to the front, which is to the street as well, or perhaps to the river, and then vice versa in the opposite direction, ensuring that appropriate drainage is not flooding or dropping onto the neighboring properties in any case.
Councilor Jaworski.
Thank you, through Mayor. I think this is a question for Mr. Irwin. So just so I'm clear, so this to abide by the drainage, well, I guess it's a site plan control that we're requiring for this I guess subdivision. If we're requiring something that in the end requires these retaining walls, I guess I'm surprised why it has to come to minor variance if that wasn't would have already been addressed through some of the prior documentation or subdivision work.
I can't speak directly to the subdivision grading plan, as I just don't have that information handy right now. But the minor variance got triggered with the as Ross said, kind of the narrowness of the property to accommodate the proposed development. The design kind of ended up with the retaining walls at 0 meters, but I defer mostly to Brock for the design aspects of it. In terms of the subdivision grading and drainage plan, I'd have to review that further to comment.
Sure, and if you don't mind me adding to that, of course, if it was a perfect scenario, all lots would be developed, of course, to the appropriate drainage plan, but of course that's not the case. in many circumstances, there are a couple lots along this development that have, in fact, done such a thing in terms of adding in the retaining walls adjacent to the property line. And the reason for the minor variance is, in fact, that the bylaws stipulate that any retaining walls above 0.3 meters would require a side yard setback of 1.2 meters. And of course, just with respect to the narrowing of the lands, it's very difficult to present that to as well in any case. So both retaining walls are essentially on the property line as proposed. That would be the request.
Right, thank you. I understand Mr. Dickey may want to speak. I think his hand is up.
Yes, and maybe I should add, and Brock can confirm this, but I believe that we are not exceeding the subdivision plan, proposed subdivision plan grades. So we're following the plan, I believe, that was presented and created. So, Brock, if you can confirm that, but I believe that we're falling within, the subdivision plan agreement that was originally created for this, this property.
That's correct. Yeah, that is the intent. But again, of course, as mentioned, the undeveloped lands adjacent is extremely difficult to provide the appropriate drainage without the retaining walls in any case. These retaining walls would then thus allow us to grade the appropriate lands to meet that specific subdivision grade drainage plan.
Councilor Jaworski, do you have a follow-up question?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions? Oh, Deputy Mayor Lang, perhaps the mover or a question? Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, I just put my hand up to move. If there's no more questions, I'll move to pass it.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councilor McDonnell, that we approve the application as presented. All those in favor?
Thank you so much.
I don't know if my screen went. I only saw Deputy Mayor Lang's hand go up on that one. Okay, approved. Mr. Irwin, the cat.
Thank you, Chair. So Brock, Brian, and Linda, thank you for attending. Your minor variance has been approved. There will be a 20-day appeal period, and once that 20-day appeal period expires, we can look into issuing all the building permits required. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next meeting to be determined. Do you know that date, Mr. Irwin, or will we just see it in the future?
We have no applications incoming at the moment, so we do not have a date determined yet.
Okay, TBD. Can I get a mover and a seconder for adjournment? Moved by Councilor McDonnell, second by Councilor Jaworski, that we adjourn to the call of the chair at 6:46 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Have a good evening, everyone.